question answers from our great participants. Now, Dr. Nararajan Sridhar has got a question. Dr. Nararajan, can we shoot off your questions?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, Professor. I'm Natarajan. Definitely, you know me. We spoke earlier.
Yes,
You know, yeah.
recently, yeah.
Recently, I have read an article from Roger Penrose, who is a current Nobel laureate physics in 2020. Yeah, he had given a lecture on consciousness in uh, a combination with his teammate. I think Marloff. I think so. They proposed a Hammeroff, not a Marloff, Hammeroff. Uh, uh, Hammeroff is a neuroscientist. Then he converted into physicist. Stuart Hammeroff and Roger Penrose have produced a wonderful research paper which is published in some neuro science journal. Yeah, they come to a conclusion that the consciousness must have given with alternative meaning. In fact, current medical scenario says that the consciousness is directly related to rapid eye movement of a person, because if some person tends to coma stage, then how can we know that he came out of coma? They just measure their REM, rapid eye movement, then they come to a conclude that such a person intended to come out of coma. Now they concluded that the Penrose and Hammeroff, the consciousness might be lie inside microtubules of our human brain. In fact, later on, Penrose moved way beyond that argument. He suggested that we human might have some other alternative meanings. In fact, he asked, what will happen to memory when we die? That's what the question. So Penrose tried to answer that our memory will will uh, uh, even beyond our death. So now my question is, the consciousness which is explained by the medical people, and the consciousness which we are posing are the same, are they different? That's not my question.
You repeat what your question is. There was some disturbance in your voice. Your internet was weak, I think. What is the last part of it? Dr. Natarajan, you got to unmute yourself. Where is he?
Dr. Natarajan Sridhar, can you unmute and come, sir?
Your last part of it was, I mean, the sound
it was not quite clear.
Quite clear. So can you slightly repeat the last part of it at least?
It's a long question.
The consciousness, which is I shut it. Shut it out. The question is the consciousness which is explained by the medical personnels and the consciousness we are explaining, are they same or are they different persons?
Can somebody repeat what you were saying again? So there's some disturbance in your system. You are not able to
Professor, can I repeat his Dr. Natarajan Sridhar's question? Can you hear me, Can you hear me, Professor?
Yeah, your voice is very clear.
Then he wants to know how the medical profession, conceives this consciousness with respect to the non-medical. Dr. Natarajan, is that correct?
Yes. Okay. Let me try to answer this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
generally,
right.
the concept of consciousness is, we talk about consciousness as sensations. Okay, that is what is our general idea. Semi-conscious, unconscious, it's all whether you are able to feel it or not, whether nerves are able to react to it or not. Okay, for example, when anesthesia is given, we don't feel that. So consciousness, we are talking about that. But Maharishi goes much deeper about consciousness. He says inanimate objects also. In fact, there is nothing which is not having consciousness. It's beyond the medical science also. He goes even consciousness is there even in a stone. And now with our experiments, including our Dr. Lakshman's research on the plant, that by blessing, you see, there is a consciousness working there. So it's able to produce more. A consciousness, water, if you say bad words, there's some problem with that in water. So water has got a consciousness. Whereas if you say be blessed and all, the crystal formation is better. So I think the medical science has to go beyond. The very definition of consciousness, that is what I'm saying, what Swamiji talks about. Whether it is medical science, whether it is economics, politics, he goes to a level which is much deeper. He starts right from divinity. Whereas we talk about from sensation as a human being or as a living being. So before the sensation started, what was the level, what was the consciousness doing in all that? So another உண்மை உள்ள போய் கடைசியா ஆரம்பத்திலேருந்து வராங்க டிவினிட்டிலேருந்து. So that is where his concept of consciousness is much deeper. And I think there was one more question in the chat box also, that how scientists are going to take it. How do you tell them? So Swamiji says scientists are already in alpha level or even theta level because they have that one-pointedness. Yes, sir. Dr. Jayaprakash, after this, yes. Yeah, yes, thank you. You are in the queue, sir. Okay, thanks. Thanks for the question.
So Dr. Natarajan is already there in alpha stage. Thank you. Thank you. Now,
we are conscious of Dr. Jayaprakash wanting to ask questions.
In fact, Jayaprakash also asked, Sir, Dr. Natarajan, you have any other point on this same?
Yeah, I think he's written yes, right. Okay.
He is not able to, I think. Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, let me go on to Jayaprakash. His question is how we make consciousness to younger scientists to accept. You already told. He also wants to have a short discussion with Swamiji about consciousness he had. His own experience he wants to share with all of us. Can I request Jayaprakash to come? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, Dr. Jayaprakash, please. You can unmute and speak, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, வாழ்க வளமுடன்.
Oh, வாங்க sir, வாங்க doctor.
Nice, sir, Balachandran sir, I'm very happy to talk to you. I enjoyed your presentation extremely well. And
Swamiji is not mine. I have tried to tell it. Nothing is original here.
But it's nice to have a reminder through you. And I just wanted to share my experience with Swamiji.
Yes, sir.
Once I asked Swamiji, there are a lot of scientific research has been going on all over the world, the localization of consciousness, where the consciousness lie, whether in the brain or in the spinal cord or which part of the body consciousness lies. The scientists were hunting and spending millions of dollars on localizing the consciousness. What is your advice on that, Swamiji. Then immediately he called the lady, Maliha, asked her to bring an umbrella.
Acha, okay.
And then he took the umbrella. He took the umbrella against the wall. And he asked me to see the shadow of the umbrella on the wall. And he showed it 3 times, the shadow. And the 4th time, he didn't take the umbrella, the shadow was there. And he said, that is the consciousness of any materials. You cannot just localize it. It is everywhere. So he said, are you convinced about even the umbrella has the consciousness that reflects on the wall? He told me, Swamiji, that's the simplest way of explaining. I'm so happy that you explained to me the level of consciousness. Even the umbrella reflects consciousness up to 3 times on the wall. 4th time, without showing it, the umbrella shadow was there. So now I'm having a lot of discussion with scientists in Europe, the consciousness side. And my ambition is, or my mission is, how to make the younger generation of the world, including the scientists, about the consciousness, how to transform Swamiji's vision, mission, or ideas to the younger generation.
Yes.
What is your idea, Mr. Professor Balachandran? Tell me. That's my ambition, because I have some good connections with a lot of scientists in Europe and US. And then I want to put Swamiji's mission and the whole concept of consciousness to these people, so our younger generation can understand consciousness cannot be quantified, cannot be titrated or something like that. What is your things about it? Please tell me, Professor.
Yeah. I will tell it in 3 different ways. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one is my personal experience, because you're talking about US and Europe.
Yeah.
I will share one experience in New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is an institute known for science.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had a program there, and they were all great physicists, doctorates, and things like that. I mean, that was the level.
Yeah.
So we gave an introduction to Swamiji's concepts.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I told about biomagnetism, universal magnetism, and all that.
Yeah.
Okay. Consciousness was not discussed, but we're talking about universal magnetism, biomagnetism, and all.
Yeah.
So then they said, but is there any proof for that? Any quantification?
Yes.
Scientists,
that's what the scientist brain always asks.
It was like that. So then I told this experiment, which Swamiji talks about. You keep both the hands.
The hand.
Yeah. The hand experiment. So it could be umbrella, it could be your own hand. Sorry, everything okay. So we keep the hand and then say, close your eyes and then start focusing. And then the hand will come nearer and things like that. So the attraction will come. So this is biomagnetism.
Yeah.
Okay. So then they all did it. See, they were all great scientists. They must have done on electromagnetism and all that. But they didn't know what is biomagnetism. Okay. And that can be felt also. That they can become conscious of the biomagnetism within them.
Oh, right.
Okay. Right. So then they did it. They said, yeah, this is working. So then I said, this is biomagnetism. But they did not, they're scientists, they won't immediately accept. So
yes.
Okay, some attraction is there, but how can you say it is biomagnetism? Okay. Yeah. Then I said, I didn't know how to answer that. So I thought, okay, I'll put the ball in their court. Okay. Yeah. So Swamiji gives us this method also.
Yeah.
Okay. So I told them, are you able to feel the magnetism? Attraction, repulsion? So it is magnetism. And it is a living being. So Swamiji says it's a biomagnetism.
Oh, coming from the living being, feeling it.
Yes. So bio is a Latin word or Roman word for the living being and magnetism.
Yeah.
So it is biomagnetism.
Yeah.
So this is what Swamiji proves. Now, whether it is biomagnetism or not, See, Swamiji is not a scientist,
Yeah. No.
but he's showing it to you.
Mm.
Now it is for you people to work out equations for that. That is
Oh,
not
yes.
his job.
Okay.
Okay. So he is giving you a research problem. So you
Yeah.
show it is not biomagnetism, it is something else.
Okay.
And if it is biomagnetism, you like Newton, you also say M1 M2 by D square or do some formula. That is not his job.
Mm. Mm. That's
Okay.
it. That's it.
So
Yes.
that is one
Yeah.
thing. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is my personal experience.
No.
Mm. And you're talking about young scientists. So
Mm.
what Swamiji says is scientists are compared to all the other normal human beings, they're already focused. Their consciousness is at a different level. Except
Okay.
for the Kudirai Kiladam Bottamari.
Like a tunnel vision. Tunnel vision.
Yes, but otherwise the vision is very sharp.
Mm.
Okay. So he says we are all mostly in beta level, but they are already in theta level.
Okay.
So for them, so when you show that biomagnetism is there, so this is based on bioelectricity, which is your pran shakti, life force. So if there's a biomagnetism, there must be a bioelectricity also in you. Correct? So that bioelectricity is what is called life force, Uyir, pran shakti, by Indian sages.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you perceive it? Not believe. Just like you perceived it, you can also perceive your life energy, bioelectricity.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Use only technical terms like this. Don't talk about initiation, ajna, shanti, turiyam, a guru will give you. No, don't use all those words. Use their language.
In
Okay,
their
I never
language.
talked
Yeah.
about talk in their language and
Mm.
put them in a net, some other net, okay, for magnet.
Mm.
So tell them that just like you felt biomagnetism, see, there are two ways of proving in science. One is by equation.
Mm.
The other is by actually conducting the experiment
Mm.
and then trying to find out the equation. Like the Galileo showed it through the telescope,
Mm.
whereas Kepler, by the available data, he inferred that. So like this, there are inferences and various ways are there in science itself. So you're feeling it. So similarly, you can perceive bioelectricity.
Yeah.
Do you want to perceive that? They will say yes. Okay. So this bioelectricity has got different centers. So
The life force. Yeah.
yeah, life force. And you have to do this experiment experimentally. So for that, there is a method. We will intensify the biomagnetism. It has got the main center at, don't say Mooladhara. Okay.
Professor, I have some answers related to this one. Shall I proceed?
Yes, yes. Proceed, doctor.
Mm.
It will be nice to have.
Related to the biomagnetism. In fact, from the physics perspective, we have to do lots of calculations on this very own concept because we just say the biomagnetism. In fact, the electromagnetic spectrum is a huge uh, uh, the electromagnetic spectrum is a huge broad spectrum. So in every part we have a special kind of magnetic properties for every spectrum. In fact, for visible spectrum, for gamma rays, for radio waves, in every spot we have separate kind of magnet. So in terms of biomagnetism, we have to have some alternative proposals and alternative equations. In fact, we are having, in general, we are having Maxwell's equations. In addition to that, we have to maybe develop some alternative mechanisms. In fact, every magnetic phenomena will not work in same way, in a uniform way, because we have ferromagnetism, we have diamagnetism, we have paramagnetism. They have separate properties. So for the case of biomagnetism, we have to do some alternative calculations. So maybe for a physicist that might be very simple. For a Vethathirian based physicist, that might be simple. So in future, our research and development has to focus on these kind of works, because they don't need any huge kind of laboratory or huge fundings. They just simply need some computers. They will do their work. So that's what our idea. So in fact, I'm working on it. But if other people, if other like-minded people join together, that work will be made possible, and that will be very simple to we people, because that's what our work
Dr. Natarajan, he's already doing some work. I think a team, Dr. Ravindra will be able to put the right persons together and they can work on that. That will be great.
yeah, that's not my idea, Professor. So because
The very
due to
center of you
yeah
has got that magnetic force. It can intensify.
yeah I'm working on it. Simultaneously, I'm working on quantum cosmology and quantum gravity. This is somewhat been some lagging. In fact, in future, maybe if any students are able to do that work, definitely I guide them and I let them to reach in a very higher level, Professor.
That's really great. Dr. Natarajan is there. So
And the
scientists can be taken.
third point,
Yes.
Professor, I
Yeah.
forgot to ask you.
Okay,
Third
okay.
point.
So the second point is I didn't complete it. I didn't complete the second one itself. So we can tell
Yeah,
them
please do.
that
Please do.
just like the center, yeah, the center, for you also there's a center, and that is your genetic center. Okay, you are a genetic being, and then this genetic center is there. That magnetism can be intensified. So using only technical terms, it can be intensified,
Yeah.
and your pituitary gland can be activated
Right.
by a magnetic induction.
Yeah.
And then it can also be taken to pineal gland. So when you start doing that, you will be able to feel the bioelectricity. And later, further, you can also feel the universal magnetism, not only biomagnetism. And so when you do that, you are in the higher level of consciousness. And just like your experiences or whatever experiences are there, you are able to recollect. Similarly, whatever is there in the universal records also can be, you are connecting with that. So when you talk in those words, then they will be interested.
All right.
Don't use the word guru. Don't use the word institution, things like that. So this is the second one. Yeah.
That's
No,
right.
that's what we do. This when we go to corporate sector, we use productivity and things like that. The same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
Changes. So if you go to students, ask them about memory, and then you're going to score very well. Things like that. Okay, that's all. Put the different clothing. So Swamiji has given a Sarva Roga Nivarani.
That's good.
Then the third one, that is sense of humor of Swamiji. That somebody came and asked, he was a rationalist. He said, I don't believe in God unless you show it. Maybe I think most of us may be knowing that. So Swamiji just smiled. And then he said, unless you show me God, I won't believe. But if you show me God, I'll believe because I'm a rationalist. Okay, just because a Dadiwala is saying, I cannot believe. Okay. So then Swamiji said, இது தமிழ்ல ரொம்ப அழகா இருக்கும் உங்களுக்கு அறிவு இருக்கா அப்படின்னு கேட்டார். So he got annoyed. He said, Swamiji, I am asking you very, of course, he was not asking very politely. He was having a cigarette in his hand because he doesn't believe in spiritualists. Okay. So he said, I am asking you a very serious question and you're talking all nonsense. So then he said, no, don't get annoyed. I'm saying that it's a logical question I'm asking you. He said, yes, I got that is why I'm asking you this question. I don't believe like other people blindly. It is because I got intelligence only I'm asking you this question. So then, can you show your intelligence? அறிவை நீ காமிக்க முடியுமா? He said, how can I show my intelligence? It is there. So if you can't show your small intelligence, how can I show you that all powerful intelligence which is present everywhere? உன்னோட சின்ன அறிவையே உன்னால காமிக்க முடியல, அந்த பேரறிவு உனக்கு எப்படி காமிக்க முடியும்? So this is third.
That's very
So
nice.
we've got different ways of attacking people.
That's very nice. Nicely put in.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr.
Vethathiri.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Jayaprakash, for joining us.
Thank you very
and,
much.
asking that wonderful questions. It was nice of you to join us with your hectic schedule.
No,
you.
it's a pleasure. As soon as I saw Professor Balachandran, I thought it's a long time since I spoke to him. I was rushing to come in.
Yeah. Because it is a start of the journey, and I think all of them, and Dr. Ravindranath is waiting to say. Yes, Doctor, welcome all of them.
Very nice proceedings. Now, to start with, we have divinity, and from divinity, we have evolved to the present day. And the neurotubules and the eye movements, the measurement of consciousness, all takes such after a long gap. First of all, we have to understand the self-compressive force, the formation of the dust particles, and the further development to life force particles and the Panchabhutas like that. The evolution goes on. And the basic ground material is consciousness. And we are to define consciousness, which precedes all our instruments. And without proper understanding of consciousness, we will not be able to measure it. And it is universal. It is present everywhere, omnipresent and all penetrative. And the exact problem with consciousness is much beyond the intellect, much beyond the scientific era. Now, the idea of raising a discussion on consciousness is to arrive at the methods of proper understanding, and so that we can transmit to others. So we will pass it on to, we will be able to pass it on to others. Now it is all subjective and perception, and this has to be translated to the expressions, words and all, which requires the data. Enormous amount of energy we have to put into this field to understand. So the consciousness is an inherent part of the divinity, absolute space, and now we are trying to discuss about that. So we have a lot of difficulties and limitations in expressing the nature of consciousness. That's why we have taken all the manifestations of the human being from some 20 angles from which we approach consciousness. So we are all, along with you, we are looking for methods for understanding consciousness in a better way, with what information Maharishi has given. So what he has given, it is one of the 4 factors which he attributes to divinity, of which consciousness is one. And how to understand consciousness? It is the way in which it is functioning, it is working in the universe as order of function. So this, we need the measure, more knowledge about the measurement of consciousness. So at this stage, it is difficult. However, we can say whether the consciousness is there or not. Everyone is able to perceive the consciousness, but not able to express the consciousness. And we are all putting our energies, minds together to arrive at an acceptable mechanism of explaining the consciousness. To understand the consciousness, we study the human being in different angles. The way how the earth, universe works. Putting all these things together, we have to come to a this thing. There is no ready answer for the nature of consciousness or the study of consciousness, the instruments for studying the consciousness. These are all the things we have a huge task of understanding the consciousness first and then trying to experiment on consciousness. I think Dr. Natarajan and Jayaprakash can help us in this exploration of consciousness.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
And there is a
Thank you. Thank you
chat
very
box
much.
question to Dr. Jayaprakash. His
Yes, sir.
chat box says, I am not clear on the umbrella story. I think you have to enlighten the participant.
Yes, sir. I will tell you. When I asked Swamiji, he called the lady. Her name is Mallika
Mallika.
or some.
Yeah. Shakuntala. Mallika.
Huh?
Two names, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Mallika Shakuntala.
That's right. Mallika, come on, ஒரு கொடை எடுத்துட்டு வா அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க Swamiji. She brought an umbrella. And then he asked me to look at the wall against that thing, the window. And then he took the umbrella, went against the wall and showed the umbrella. And then asked me to see the back of the umbrella and the shadow of the umbrella. So the window's light was reflecting the shadow on the wall. So he took the umbrella down and then put it again, like 3 times. He told me to watch the shadow. And the 4th time, he didn't take the umbrella. The shadow was there. He asked me, did you see the shadow? I said, yes, Swamiji. There was a shadow without the umbrella was in front. So this is what it is. Even the umbrella, after 3 times, made a consciousness imprint on the wall. So you should know and tell the scientists, the world, everything, whether the dead or alive or anything, everything has got a universal consciousness in itself. And it will show on everything an imprint on it. So that was the story he told me with the practical things with umbrella. And he told me, imagine consciousness is everywhere in every part of the material or immaterial things around the world. And it has got imprint on everything and everywhere. That was the story simply Swamiji explained to me on that day. I never forget in my life. That is the day he asked Mallika to bring the books, his monogram, what he wrote in his hand on Kaya Kalpa, and gave it to me and asked me to do the research on Kaya Kalpa with the modern biomarkers. That's what I did in London with the modern biomarkers and Kaya Kalpa to prove Kaya Kalpa can balance the hormones in the body. With a gynecologist professor, I did it with that. So I want to take that work further in Kaya Kalpa because I still having the Swamiji's monograms in my hand with his handwritten on Kaya Kalpa. I feel so guilty. I haven't done anything further on it. I done the research 10 years ago in London with Kaya Kalpa and hormone balancing. Now I need to do a lot. I've been very, very conscious about it. That I haven't finished the work what Swamiji. I asked Swamiji, can I do it? He said, I have the trust on you. You can take it to the world, he said about the Kaya Kalpa. So now I need help with Professor Balachandran and Dr. Ravindranath and everything to take my commitment to Swamiji that we need to take it to the world on Kaya Kalpa and scientific implications.
Thank you, Doctor. We are with you. There is no doubt about it. It is our journey started about 3 months back, and so nice of you to come. This gentleman who was asked this question, he says again he is asking the same question. How can there be on the wall fourth time? This is his question he put on the chat box. He's still not clear.
Because
He's asking this. He's asking this question for the fourth time. So he's
because I realized it with my own eyes. Swamiji showed the shadow. I cannot say, oh, I didn't take the picture to prove and show him. Do you know what I mean? This is what all my scientist friends repeatedly asked me. That day, I should have taken the picture on the wall without the umbrella and the shadow and showed him, oh, this is the one you need to prove, like certain thing, you know. I saw in my eyes, in my own eyes, when Swamiji showed fourth time without umbrella, the shadow was on the wall.
Okay, thank you. We will take on him, and he can share his name and address, and he can contact us. We will take him on further.
Let him do that.
Yeah. So
this
certainly
is what
we will bring 2 umbrellas and show him, doctor. Nothing to worry
This
about.
is what I call it trust in consciousness. You have to have a trust in consciousness.
Deep faith, understanding. That is what the professor says. Now, can we go on to the next question? Professor Balachandran, Arulnidhi Parthasarathi from Australia is waiting for a long time from Melbourne. Parthasarathi, can you unmute and come?
Thank you, sir. I would like to record my thanks to WCC R&D, and I would like to say thanks to Professor Balachandran for wonderful speech and a great interactive session. I want to share small experiences which is given by our Swamiji concept about consciousness. Self-comprehensive surrounding pressure force is called divinity. So Swamiji used to say, given a simple example that through a glass of water, then when it falls onto the earth, it become a round shape and it is getting fall onto the earth by the self-surrounding pressure forces. So such a small, lively, simple example is our Swamiji has given that how the consciousness, the self-surrounding pressure force is existing everywhere. So that is very easily understand by all our sky professors, masters, sky members. Even if you explain to small children those are studying in the school, they can able to understand. And I see one of this lively example when I take my child to the play area. In that play area, they set up a ball which is seated onto the hollow pipe and 10 centimeter diameter ball, and seated onto the hollow pipe, and the 2 sides there is hollow pipe. On top of the ball there is another hollow pipe. They are giving the air to all the pipes. The ball is started rotating. So the same concept can able to imagine how the self-compressive surrounding pressure force. So it's a simple practical. I was like mesmerized when comparing with the Swamiji concept of what Swamiji explained in a simple way. They set up in a small ball to make spin and for a joyful function in a play area, inside the play area. So my question is here. So our Swamiji concept is easily we can understand as a self-realization person, but the scientist or the self-realization person, then only it will be like easily getting experimented or in a scientific way getting brought into the scientific world. So Swamiji used to say that in one poem that all the scholar students, those who are studying a doctor or a psychiatrist or any other field, he putting a request that take a course of self-realization, meditation process, then he will excel in his field. So in that way, our WCSC and R&D, all those who are the students taking our course from various colleges in Tamil Nadu, in the future, there will be a hope for us to bring a Swamiji concept entirely to the world, Swamiji concept of consciousness. Thank you, Ayya. Valha Valamadan.
Mr. Rangaswamy?
Yeah, can we go on to the next question? Thank you
No, Dr.
for sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Valha Ramadan.
Can I go ahead, or Dr. Rabindranath, do you want to finish it, or should I? Can I continue?
You carry on with your question. I follow yours.
Welcome, yeah. Thank you so much. Welcome. This is Karthik from Sky Bay Area, USA. I've been serving here in USA, but I joined this session as a student. Thank you for sharing all your insights here. I was the one who was asking about more clarification on this umbrella thing. I still could not figure it out. Please, if you can put me in touch, I would love to have probably a private conversation to exactly why in science the shadow is still showing that even without the umbrella. I would love to get that clarified. I really appreciate that. My other question is, how do we arrive at conclusion that it is the consciousness that is cognizing? I mean, we have gone through all Brahmayanam, studied it. We've been teaching it to others as well. I mean, as a student, as a master, when I take the courses, I mean saying that, but I feel like I'm not exactly getting that point where how do I arrive at that it is the consciousness that is cognizing? அறிவது அறிவு என்பதை உணர்வது எவ்வாறு?
So this again explains that our to carry on the discussion is limited, and now today's program has identified Dr. Jayaprakash, Dr. Natarajan, Mr. Parthasarthi, and Mr. Karthik interested in this topic of consciousness, and we feel that we have not expressed the feelings in our mind or our thought completely to the audience even in the meeting. So may I request these four people to join and have a discussion apart from this meeting, so that we have more time to elaborate on our point and understand each other and come to an answer. Can we have
Yes,
a
Doctor.
joint discussion? Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Jayaprakash is coming again on the line.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We will do it.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We can do it. No problem. We can do it.
Thank you.
Most happy to get your cooperation. So this is the one which we want. People who are interested in angle consciousness and trying to understand first and then express it for others in a scientific way.
And Professor Balachandran is also, sir, also can give input on that.
Yes. He is there.
I will also find the
From
yes,
our
it's a
side,
pleasure.
we will
Yes, sir.
other people can
Because
contribute.
you simplified me lot of little things when I started with the Swamiji. I remember in
Good old
2000.
days, yeah.
Yeah, we sat under the
Yeah.
tree. You simplified a lot of my little doubts in a very nice
Yes.
way. I never forget that.
Now we're going back some 18 years or something like that.
That's right. 20 years ago,
20
the
years
Professor
ago.
Balachandran was really explaining all my little doubts in a very simplified way.
Yeah. Swamiji sent me. We've got to have some via media. That's all.
That's right. That's right.
Great.
Okay.
Mr. Balachandran, Professor Balachandran, now I want to know whether there is anyone else in the audience, in the participants who are interested to take part in the discussion on consciousness. From the audience side,
There's a student here, Arjun. He wants to join. Speaking from headquarters. Yeah, he's a staff here, teacher. So he would like to learn. Yes, we'll put your name.
There are 4 more people are waiting.
Yeah, some more people are there. Prabhakaran.
Yeah, some more people are there. Chitra Ramchandran. Yeah, can I call upon them one by one? Chitra Ramchandran came early.
Yes.
Are you still on the line?
Yeah, she can't answer. Yeah.
Unmute.
Sir.
Yes.
Very nice speech, sir. Balachandran, sir. And
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be with all doctors, senior doctors here. It's not the first time I'm sitting along with them. I feel so honored to be with them. So my question is, you were telling that the consciousness is transparent. At the same time, it is dark. So I am not able to see the contradiction in this. When it is dark and when it is ever pervading and it is transparent, it should be visible to all. So how can we explain the consciousness? Because I feel the consciousness is everywhere. Even when we see through a window, the space which we see around us or the space which is occupied even by the consciousness. So how can we call it ness? And we have this tamasoma sargamaya, where we say that God has to remove the andhakar or the darkness so that we feel the happiness. That is my question, sir. Thank you so much.
So you have been very patient because there are too many doctors were there. So okay. Yes. Let me try to answer this question. Actually, we are talking about consciousness there. We're talking about space. Okay.
Yes.
One of the characteristics of space is consciousness. So when Swamiji talks about darkness, he's talking about space. Okay. Space, self-compressive and kinematic querying. They're all properties of space. It is plenum. Plenum means present everywhere, and akshayam. It's whatever you do still continues to be full. That is plenum. And it has got potential energy is there. So that we call it as force, time, and consciousness. Okay, so the space, one of the qualities is dark. So here darkness, we have to take it in a different sense. So the space is the origin for everything. Okay, it does not have specific qualities like taste. You have to go to the source. Ultimately, if you go lower and lower to taste, ultimately it will be tasteless. Similarly, smell. If you go to the very root of it, there should be no smell. Okay, all those things come when particles are meeting and they are becoming magnetic transformations. Sound, light, smell, and taste are nothing but intensification of magnetism. So when you go to the very source, it will not have any taste, it will not have smell. Similarly, there will be no light also. So what is ultimate thing is darkness. So it is unmanifest. All these qualities are there. They get manifested into sound, into light, into smell. So at the very origin, there will be no light. When there's no light means what is it? Darkness. So it is in that way. And tamasoma jyotirgamaya is our consciousness is only at the material level. And so we are not seeing the entirety. So I am imbibed by ego because of my limited consciousness. So I am dark. I mean, I am not, of course I am dark by skin, but I'm talking about the intelligence. Okay. So our consciousness is limited. So from that, I have to understand more and more. Idu vandu jyotina, understanding is what is called light. So it is in that context. Darkness is my knowledge is limited, and so I'm taking wrong decisions. So from that, give me knowledge so that I'll be able to understand. So it is in that context, tamasoma jyotirgamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya. From untruth, take me to truth. So that from untruth to truth, what is untruth? Untruth is, it is also true, but at a lower level. So from that, you are seeing me physically, but yes, that is untruth, because that is not the fullness. I am also spirit. The divinity is also in me. But I am seeing only that which is by five senses what I am seeing, as Balachandran. This is only partial truth. Swamiji uses beautiful word for this. Mainmai, unmai. மேலோட பார்க்கிறது மேன்மை. அது அத்வைதத்துல மாயைங்கிறாங்க. மாயைனா it is not there. It's not that it's not there. It is illusion. You are seeing in a desert, you are seeing on the canal, என்ன சொல்லுவாங்க அதுக்கு? Mirage. Mirage you are seeing, but is not there. It is limitation of the senses. So that is called Maya. We are seeing the earth is here, the sun is roaming around. Is the sun roaming around the earth or earth roaming around? You're going in a train, you see the tree going the opposite direction. Is the tree going backward or you going forward? These are limitations of your senses, giving you illusion. So from that illusion, give me that knowledge. So from Asatoma Sadgamaya. From untruth to truth. For that, what is required? Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. From my lack of understanding, give me that knowledge. So Mrityorma Amritirmaya. Mrityorma is for the physical body, death is there. But when I understand that I am that consciousness, there is no death. So from Mrityorma Amritam, beautiful statements. Okay, that darkness and this darkness is different.
Very well explained, sir. Thank you. வாழ்க வளமுடன், sir. I'm very happy to have your explanation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, can we go on to what time we close down, because there are some chat box questions are there. Can we read out? Ilami, may I request all of you to put your name and where from you are speaking, so that I don't read all Galaxy and Ilami and many other code words. Please put your name, sweet name, so that we can call upon you. Ilami asks question, why consciousness transformed into human being with bad characters? If consciousness is order of function, how can it be going wrong?
Yes, good. They ask this question.
1 minute.
Yes, Prabhakaran.
Rangasamaya.
Yeah.
Rangasamaya, 1 minute. Aliyar.
Solunga.
Hello. We have magnetism and the levels of magnetism described as Tanmatra. The initial stage is there is no magnetism. Then you get the touch sensation felt. Second Tanmatra is sound. Third Tanmatra is light. So in evolution, the light has evolved from darkness. So the limitation of our perception, when it is only to the light and not to the darkness, we will not be able to appreciate that it is the first one. So in the evolution of magnetism, in the Tanmatras, this comes third and the darkness is the 0 point. Thank you.
It is a singularity, correct. Yeah.
Or chinna addition, sir.
Solunga, sir.
In
You
scientific,
can go.
last 15 years, they are estimating neurotransmitter chemicals. What the consciousness from the brain cortex and hypothalamus, there is a constant amount of chemicals discharging along the nerve. How the electricity goes through the wire, and Swamiji always simply explain the electricity gives fan, fridge, everything in a different way. Now the neurochemical analysis from the cortex and hypothalamus, there are negative chemicals and positive chemicals. We call them excitatory chemicals adrenaline, non-adrenaline, dopamine, and the negative chemicals like serotonin and GABA. And by balancing those birth chemicals, the consciousness level, the physical consciousness level can be balanced. So last 15 years, I involved with the scientists in North Carolina. They are working on neurochemical analysis of excitatory and inhibitory transmitters, which control all the organs in the body, including the hormones and heart and lung and everywhere. So we can look into the research of the neurochemical analysis. And by urine, they take a sample of urine in the morning and they estimate the neurochemicals. That is called wired chemical analysis. And then Wi-Fi chemical analysis is the cytokines. They call it a cytokine storm with the COVID infections and everything. We can even analyze the Wi-Fi chemical analysis, that cell-to-cell transmission talkies. So we look at it in future of how the consciousness can be interpreted through the neurochemical analysis as well as Wi-Fi, the cytokine analysis. This is something hypothesis I've been putting to the committee. Thank you.
Thank
Can you have your
Thank you.
telephone number or contact number? We lost touch now.
I'm sorry,
Some
sir.
point.
I was going to ask you. You asked me before that.
I have put my
I think
number.
Professor Rangasamy sir has got mine,
Yeah,
and I will
I'll
get it
give my
yours from him.
email ID.
So that will be a future interest in chemical analysis on neuronal consciousness.
Okay.
We will have to set up a most modern chemical lab.
Yes, sir.
We will do that, sir.
It is available all over the world, and Jayaprakash will take us to that, connect to that lab and get it done. So don't worry about the lab establishment, all the problems. What do you say?
Actually, I'm trying to bring the lab to IIT Madras with the collaboration with an American company. The company called Sanasco. I know their chairman very well. I brought the chairman to India twice, and he is very much interested in research on this consciousness. And also, he is interested in helping the autism children. You know, there are a lot of children suffering from autistic disorders in India, in all over the world. Especially the chemical disparity make the children get hyperactivity or dull or irritability. So I'm really planning to get into the conscious level of the children by balancing the neurotransmitter level in their brain activity. So that is why I'm very keen in getting the children into normal children, the autism children into normal children. So it will be useful for them, for the society and for the parents. That is one of my real concept in this one. Especially it's a combined spiritual as well as scientific way of treating. I think first time when I saw Swamiji, I put a little presentation on comparing spirituality and science. I hope you remember, Professor Balachandran.
Yes,
the comparing the spirituality and science, linking the spirituality and science in a basic way. And Swamiji has given a lot of insight for me how to go into that.
all the best.
I still have the presentation, what I presented in front of the Swamiji, science and spirituality.
I think one day Dr. Ravindranath would like you to show it here also to all of us. Yeah.
I will share that presentation, what I shared with Swamiji. In 2003, I did the presentation on science and spirituality, comparing that.
That's why we are planning a meeting of the people who are interested in including you and others. We will plan, we will come out, that we will have opportunity to explain. And
thank you.
I thank you for coming forward with this offer. Welcome, sir.
No, it's a real pleasure because it is for a human good wellness. I think it's very important. I should do it with all our combination together with all our effort.
Great.
We understand that it is 3 a.m. there. Some of Karthik from USA, it is 3 a.m. there, and he is taking part in the discussion. This shows the interest in them. So now we have the background base of interest in the subject, and we all will put together and find out, get something out of it. Thank you. Now, Rangasamy, you can proceed with the questions.
Yeah, couple of more questions are there. Can we go ahead?
We will go, sir.
Yeah, that again, Ilami has asked this question: why consciousness transformed into human beings with bad characters? And if consciousness is order of function, how can it go wrong? He has repeated this question twice. So, can we ask a professor to address this?
Okay. It's a good question, and all of us are worried about it. Why all these things should happen? But again, you see, Swamiji talks about how human beings came about. So right from stone, like that, right from the beginning. And then we became plants, and then it took millions of years over which we became one sense living being, two sense living beings. So after the plant life, when worms and all those things come, they were not able to get food directly from sun and air and water. So then they had to take some other animal to eat and survive. So as far as they are concerned, it's not considered a sin, because that is how nature is created. And so as far as they are concerned, it's okay. But right up to 5 sense living beings, they can't prepare food, and so when they are not hungry, they will not kill animals. It's only because of need. And we have come out of that, and we have animal imprints in us. We also have divinity in us. And we also have been provided with 6th sense. The same divinity has provided with 6th sense. So if you want, you can behave like a divinity, or you can behave like animal. And what is right or wrong has also been given. So in the class 1, class 2, nursery and all, you have to tell exactly what the teacher is saying. But at the PhD level, they got a choice. You should not repeat what the Newton has said, what Einstein has said. You got to say something new. That much, that's why it's called the PhD level. So we are at the PhD level of evolution. So we got so much of choice. And we also have a method by which I have got animal imprints, but I don't have to live like an animal. And we have the consciousness to become one with the divinity. Animals cannot do that. So they have a limited level of understanding, and a stone, it cannot even move from there. So would you like to be a stone? I'll tell you one thing about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So he was, Vivekananda was, he fell flat, and he said, Ramakrishna, so once Vivekananda asks him, Guru, I want to do penance, and nothing should disturb me, like our Ramana Maharishi. Just go in trance. I want to meditate like you. So then he said, you idiot. He used the word in Bengali. Okay. I want you to do so many other things. Why do you want to be a stone? A stone can stay there for 50 years, 100 years. You are a human being. You can do so many other things. So the divinity has given us a choice. It is we people who are not doing the right thing. Okay. And that knowledge is also given to you. So we can come out of it. You can. So, and that is exactly what Swamiji wants, that everyone can enjoy that bliss which a plant or stone or other things cannot enjoy. Okay. So whenever something good is there, the nature also will give some, see, unless you have to make an effort, you will not enjoy things. Whenever nature is supposed to give a pain, you have to understand that there's a lesson from that, and you can go out of it. A diamond, only when it is cut and hard, beaten, then only it will shine. And we can do that. Okay, so it's nothing like right or wrong. It's in the understanding. So we can go to higher level of consciousness. Yeah, okay. Yes.
Thank you, Balachandran.
Thank you. Thank you,
Now
Professor.
it is
I
time.
think long since the next is the question coming from Prabhakaran. Long since you are waiting,
Yeah, he has
can
been
you
waiting.
unmute and come?
This will be the last question as the time is already 6:50.
வாழ்க வளமுடன் sir. வாழ்க வளமுடன் sir. I will make it quick, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Balachandran sir and Shekhar sir and Kutalam sir and Rabindranath sir. Everybody, thank you very much. It's Prabhakaran from Australia. Sir, this is a wonderful session and I have been waiting for a long time. And I done a small research on last night, sir. And I have been having a question, how I am going to distinguish the objective matters and then the life. And it has been a long question. I have done my Arunidhi course and Brahmanyana and everything. It has been there for many times. And last night, I got a very simple and easy techniques how to explain to the new or unknown people to understand it. And I was experimenting it to one of my colleagues today. And he's an electrician, Australian electrician. And he could understand that in 3 minutes time. And just I simply explained it in one hand with a stone and other one is myself. How I'm going to distinguish these two. And with a simple way of what Maharishi was explained in two topics he was spoken. And in Tamil, it was Ariviyalum Anmigamum. And the other one was Udal Manam Uyir. When I compare these two topics, and these two topics, what Maharishi has done to us, given to us, it's more than enough to do our complete research and process on Conscious 360. I really appreciate and thank you so much for bringing this concept, sir. And I have a detailed vision on this one, so I can explain later if you have your personal number. And it is not much out of what Maharishi has given, but only yesterday I got a realization of this concept. I did not have a realization before. I have a learning and I have understanding, but only yesterday I could feel and understood 100%. I was thanking Maharishi. I got to sleep around 12 o'clock last night. Sorry for all my personal story. This is just the expression and interest of this concept, that's all. And please, all of you, if you have a time today, question yourself, how are you going to distinguish between Jadapurul, Jivan? Maharishi has given one silent truth on some explanation on Udal Manam Uyir. That was the wind. Wind, if I ask you the question, how are you going to point out me the Uyir in your body? Maharishi has given an answer. If I ask anybody, I have asked so many people, tell me where is the virus or how it is formatted. And Maharishi simply said, sir, if you allow me for 2-3 minutes, I can go through this little bit, sir, then later on I'll leave it.
Yeah, okay, 2-3 minutes you can go ahead and complete it. Otherwise, you will not, you may get a re-realization.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. So kind of you. Sir, Maharishi சொன்னது மாதிரி எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னாக்க, when we talk about it, when we start science, we always start in terms of autumn. But all our siddhas and all our ancient like jnanis and gurus, everybody started Anu as the wind. When Maharishi explaining, when you start from the wind, and please, I don't know how we all assuming the wind is. When you assume the wind as a ball, not as a circle, because we have been always studied in the book, everything is written in 2D dimension. When we consider wind as the 3D dimension, and then considering the conscious or atmosphere or space is going inside the wind and coming out of the wind, is the process of going inside and coming out. And the waveform itself, it's a magnetism, conscious, you can call it. In the human body, the same thing, we're going to call it as arivu, sitrarivu, perarivu. So this is what I understood, sir. Wind, jada பொருட்கள்ல விண்களோட கூட்டு இருக்குது. உயிருள்ள பொருட்கள்ல தனித்த வின் இருக்கிறதுனால மட்டும்தான் it is become understandable, it is become உயிர். If we take and analyze any objective matters, பஞ்சபூதங்களை எடுத்துக்கிட்டோம்னாக்க, they all got விண்கள் in கூட்டு, but only in human body or any living animals, it got தனித்த வின் இருக்குது. அது மட்டும்தான் உயிரா இருக்குது அப்படின்றத ரியலைஸ் பண்ண முடியும். சார், I have further details, but I can give it later, sir. So I couldn't make it in a short time. But I explained to my friend very well. He got it, but I got a little bit nervous now because it's the last minute. I don't want to waste your time. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. வாழ்க வளமுடன். I can post all my researches, what I done. It is nothing beyond Maharishi said. Just I got another method of explaining. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhakaran sir. All the best to you. Thank you. We can close it, close the session. Over to Dr. Ravindranath Iyer.
Yes, I have the pleasure of proposing the vote of thanks to all. We had a very fruitful first time questions coming to the forum, and we are really making a beginning in understanding the consciousness and trying to so that we transmit, we pass it on to others. And all the participants, I appreciate that the part they have contributed to this, Dr. Jayaprakash, Dr. Natarajan, and Dr. Karthik, and Ramesh Kumar, and the others. They have Parthasarathi and others. And this is a very good beginning, and it is driven by Maharishi in the right direction in his abstract form. And now I'm sure that we will be able to take up this task of analyzing, understanding, and translating the hypothetical facts of Maharishi to science. So thank you. I also thank today's speaker for managing this difficult topic of the divinity in words, to explain divinity in words, to talk about. Maharishi has given a lot of information, but still it is very difficult. So we have expressing also. So I thank Dr. Balachandran, Dr. Rajashekar, Janaki Raman, and others who have worked to organize this meeting. Now we have our General Secretary, Dr. Sekhar, and I think we will grow in strength and come to some fruitful discussion and the conclusions thereby. I thank every one of you, and we look forward to the meeting on the next Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much, all of you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, sir, for the. I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. பெருக்கட்டும் பாட்டாளி உயரட்டும் உயர்த்தட்டும் நீங்கள் போட்டி பகை கடந்தாட்சி கட்டும் கல்லாமை கடன் வறுமை கழகங்கள் மறையட்டும் ஒளி வீசட்டும் சிறக்கட்டும் நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும் நம் கடமை அறவாழ்வின் நாட்டத்தே சிறக்கட்டும் வாழ்க வளமுடன். Thank you. See you next week, all of you. All the best.
தனியா நோட்